a desperate Donald Trump is now melting down that he may have to, quote, fire sale his properties in order to get the cash he needs to meet the bond in order to appeal the civil fraud judgment against him for hundreds of millions of dollars. This is some wild stuff. Couple of reports on this. The Hill reports Trump says he'd have to hold a fire sale of properties to meet the $464 million bond. The New Republic writes, still unable to post bond. Trump has most crazed meltdown yet. Donald Trump has no idea how to post bond in the fraud trial, and he is absolutely losing it. And indeed, Donald Trump posting to his platform, Truth Social, quote, Judge Engoron actually wants me to put up hundreds of millions of dollars for the right to appeal his ridiculous decision. In other words, he is trying to take away my appellate rights away. Trying to take my appellate rights away from me when I have already won at the appellate division, but he refuses to accept their already made decision. Nobody has ever heard of anything like this before. I would be forced to mortgage or sell great assets, perhaps at fire sale prices. And if and when I win the appeal, they would be gone. Does that make sense? Witch hunt, election interference. You know, this would be nothing other than consequences for the actions of Donald Trump. He might have to do that. That's true. Would that be unfortunate for him as an individual? Without a doubt. But the reality is that this is the sort of thing that sometimes happens. People sometimes end up in situations where, you know, not everybody can afford the high-priced lawyers that Donald Trump can afford. And there are lots of situations where middle-class people are accused of a crime, whether they are guilty or not. They are in a position to have to hire a lawyer, and sometimes they mortgage their houses to get lawyers. That's a reality. Is it an unfortunate reality? Sure. But it is not exclusive to Trump. There are many situations. In fact, I was just reading the great book. I just finished it. This thing is 750 pages. The book Five Families by Selwyn Rabb. It's about the history of the Sicilian mob in the United States. And there are many stories in there of defendants who have to pay $250,000 for a lawyer to defend them. And when the capos, the leaders, the godfathers would abandon them, they would have to sometimes mortgage their home in order to pay for a lawyer. This has nothing to do with guilt or innocence. We have a situation where it happens to lots of people. It's not unique to Trump that he might have to mortgage or sell assets in order to pay lawyers or judgments. And what's even funnier is that Trump may finally learn what those properties are really worth. And what I mean by that is part of the problem here, part of the fraud Trump committed is lying about the value of the properties. He will very quickly learn that things really are worth only what others are willing to pay for them, or what others are willing to lend you against them. And there's sort of an irony that Trump's own assets not being worth what he says they are, which was the origin of this judgment against him, may be what limits his ability to make bond. After the break, we will talk about when could the property seizures start if Trump can't come up with the money, who will do the seizing, and how will it all work. We'll take a quick break. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube at youtube.com/The David Pakman Show. By the way, the next book in the children's book series is out tomorrow, Think Like a Voter. I'll tell you about it more on tomorrow's show. As the host of this show and also a consumer of news in general, one reliable source of record that I have turned to is the Washington Post. And they're one of today's sponsors, letting you subscribe for just 50 cents per week. The Washington Post just helps me go deeper on the news that matters most. Their journalists bring facts and clarity about what's happening in DC, the economy, climate change, foreign policy, things I care about. I have always used the Washington Post to prepare for the David Pakman Show. It's a news outlet that is quality and provides fact-based reporting. And whether it's breaking news updates or comprehensive political and international coverage, thought-provoking opinion, dinner recipes, if that's what you want, A Washington Post subscription has something for every type of news reader. They bring stories that explain the world, teach you something, inspire you. A Washington Post subscription makes it easy to access quality, trustworthy journalism, and it's affordable too. Go to WashingtonPost.com/Pakman to subscribe for just 50 cents per week for your first year. That is 80% better than their typical offer. It's an amazing deal, and the link is down below.